Welcome to the new session of object-oriented programming using C++. The topic of the day is classes and objects. Now, what is a class? A class is a user-defined data type. It is a binding or collection of data elements related to a single object type and a set of functions used to access the data elements. So in simpler terms, you can say that a class is a collection of data members and member functions. If you look at the C programming language and the transition from C to C++, the introduction of class data type is the biggest jump from the C programming language to the C++ programming language. Another major difference is that the creation of class led to more importance to the data rather than the functions. Whereas in C programming language, the more focus was on the functions and the procedures rather than the data. So it was C++ that introduced the class data type to lay more stress on the safety and security of the data. Definition of a class. How can we define a class in C++? Definition of the class starts with the keyword class. So when we are going to define a class or prototype a class, we are going to start with the keyword class. As you can see here, the first word that we are going to write is class. And then we are going to use any legal identifier name for the class. It can be any legal identifier that we use. It is then followed by a block starting with the curly braces and ending with the curly braces and semicolon. Within this block, you can create the data members and member functions. Now the data members and member functions can be created using two access specifiers. One is called the private and the other one is called the public. There is another third specifier called the protected specifier, which is specifically used when you use the concept of inheritance in C++. So we will do that or use that third access specifier only when you discuss the concept of inheritance. Generally, by principle, all the data members of a class are generally private in nature, and all the member functions of a class are public in nature. So if you want to access any data member of a class, the only way you can access them is through the member functions of the class. We avoid giving the direct access to the data members of a class from outside the class. Private and public access specifier. What are private access specifier and what are public access specifier? The data members and member functions defined inside private access specifier are not accessible from outside the class. So that means if you have declared or prototyped any data member or member function within the private access specifier, then nobody can access those directly from outside the class. Whereas the data members and member functions, which are defined using the public access specifier, can be accessed from outside the class. I still repeat that class is a user defined data type. So it is basically like int, float, character. So it is also a data type. So when I'm talking about accessing the members of a class, they cannot be accessed without creating the object or variable of the class. Like int. Int in itself cannot be used. In order to use the int, you need to create the variables of the same. For example, int a comma b. And then you can use a and b to store the value. Similarly, a class in itself cannot be used to access the data members. You have to create the variables or objects of the class that we will discuss later in this video tutorial. Now here is an example of how we can create a class. as you can see, first of all, the class keyword is used, and then using a legal identifier, a data type named employee will be created. The employee data type will be a class, and the name of it will be employee. So under private access specifier, using the private access specifier, three data members have been created. So all these three data members cannot be accessed directly from outside the class. And using the public access specifier, two member functions have been prototyped. So these member functions can be accessed directly from outside the class. Now, interestingly, this is only the prototype of the member functions and not the definition. So definition, how we can define the member functions of a class, that are discussed later in this video tutorial. So here in this tutorial, or in this particular slide, you can see that we can create a class by using the class access class keyword and then the name of the class using any legal identifier, followed by the curly braces, as you can see here. This is used to create a block, and within the block the data members have been created in the private access specifier, and the member functions have been created using the public access specifier. What if you do not mention the access specifier? If no access specifier is mentioned, by default all members of the class will be private in nature. So by default, if you do not use any access specifier, it is private access specifier. How we can define the member functions of the class? There are two methods to define the member functions of the class. One method is to simply define those member functions within the class. So defining the functions is already known to you. You can simply directly define those member functions within the class, and there is no need to prototype those member functions. Because those member functions have been created inside the class, that means there is no need to prototype the member functions. But if you use the second method, that is you define the member functions outside the class, then there is a need to prototype those member functions within the class. So we moving back to the previous slide. As you can see in the public access specifier, two member functions have been prototyped. So this is the prototype of the two member functions. It does not include the definition. So why the prototype of the two member functions have been given? Because their definition is included outside the class. So let's see how can we define the member functions outside the class. Member functions of a class can be defined outside the class using the access scope resolution operator, as you can see here. Normally, what does the function header of a function contain? It contains the return type, name of the function, and the formal argument list. But if we are defining a member function of a class, then we need to specify as to which class this member function belongs to. Now that can be achieved by specifying the name of the class along with the scope resolution operator. So in short, this whole becomes the name of the function. Class name, scope resolution operator, and the function name. So this is how you can define a member function outside the class. I hope it is clear. We will definitely see some of the examples of how to define the member functions inside and outside the class as we proceed further in this video tutorial. Creating objects of a class. Like I said, a class is only a data type. Hence, you cannot access the data members or member functions of the class using the class. You need to create the objects of the class. And when the objects of the class are declared, only then the memory is allocated to the member functions and data members of a class. A class is simply a user-defined data type. It is only a blueprint of how the objects will look like. In order to use a class, one must declare objects of the same. Now, what is an object? As you can see, it is clearly stated that an object is an instance of the class. Can we create multiple instances of the class? The answer is yes. You can create any number of objects of a class. Now, what is an instance of the class? Instance refers to the memory that is allocated to the data members and member functions. Declaring a class object is exactly the same as the declaration of variables of any basic data type. So just like the variables you declare of any inbuilt data type like int, float, and character, an object is also a variable or an object of a user-defined class. So how many methods are there to create an object of the class? There are two methods to create an object of the class. The first method is declaring the objects just like declaring the normal variables. How you declare a variable of data type int? You use int and then the name of the variable that you want to create. So how can you create the objects of a class named employee? So this is how you can create the objects of a class employee. First of all, give the name of or the data type. The data type is employee because it is a user defined data type. So the data type in itself is employee. And object 1 and object 2, obj1 and obj2 are the two objects of this class. What is the second method to create the objects of a class? When you define or prototype a class, you can immediately declare the objects of the class. Now, you have already seen the definition of the class. The definition of the class ends with a closing curly brace and then the semicolon. Now you can give the list of the objects that you want to create after the curly braces and before the semicolon. As you can see here, this is the syntax. This is the closing curly braces. This is the opening curly braces. So within the closing curly braces and the semicolon, you can give the list of the objects that you want to create for the class. So right at the bottom, you can see that we have given a snapshot of how a class student has been created. And here the closing curly braces of the class are there. So that means the body of the class is over. After that, we have created two objects of the class before the semicolon, object 1 and object 2. So there are two methods by which you can create the objects of the class. One is immediately when you prototype the class. And if you do not want to immediately create the objects of the class while it is being prototyped, then you can create the objects of the class at any time using the following, using this particular statement. I hope that declaration of the objects of a class is clear to you. How can we access the members of the class? Now, for example, if there are two public members of the class that can be accessed outside the class, you can only access the members of the class through the object of the class. So at the bottom, you can see in the figure given in this slide, the proper syntax has been given of how you can access the public members of the class. You cannot access the private members of the class outside the class. So you can only access the public members of the class. First of all, you need to give the name of the object and then the membership operator. The membership operator is the dot operator. And then you have to specify the name of the data member or the member function that you want to access. And in case it is a member function, then you also need to provide the argument list. Now let me explain it to you with the help of an example. Let us suppose that you have created a class student and get data is a member function of that class, a public member function of that class. After that, you create an object of the student class, student obj1. So you have created or defined a class student, and there is a public member function within the class named get data. And after that, you create an object obj1 of the student class. So can I access the get data member function using the obj1 object of the student class? The answer is yes. And how I can do that? First of all, give the name of the object, which is obj1, followed by the membership operator, which is the dot operator. And after that, specify the name of the member function that you want to access. For example, get data. And then the argument list, because no arguments are being passed. So I will write it like this, end it with the help of a semicolon. So this statement is an example of how I can access the get data member function of a class, student class, using the object of the same class. And in case you have a data member like age, which is a public member of the class, you can access this using the same statement obj1 dot age. And there is no need to give the parenthesis because the get data was a member function, hence the parentheses were given, and age is only a data member, hence there is no need to use the parenthesis. So this is how we can access the data members or member functions which are public of a class. So this is a sample program. So this is not a complete program. This program, or the what you see in the given slide, is the definition of the class. So this is only the definition of the class. Now let's have a look at the different components of how we have defined this class. First of all, we give the name of the class that we want to create. Use the keyword class followed by the identifier name of the class. So this will create a user defined data type named student. Because there is no access specifier mentioned on the top, so till we get to the public access specifier, all the members that will be listed will be inside the private access specifier. So they will be private members of the class. So we have created two data members here. One is a string named name, and the other one is a simple integer variable roll number. Both of these are the private members of the class. And then we have used the public access specifier. This means that whatever which will follow right now will be the public members of the class. So one is, we have defined a member function of the class input. So this function will be used to accept the input of the two data members, name and roll number. And the other member function that has been defined inside this class is display, that is used to display the value of the name and the roll number. And here you can see the curly braces are closed and then the semicolon, which means no objects have been created for the student class as of yet. So this is a complete definition of a class that includes two private data members and two public member functions. Name of the class is student. So with this, we have successfully created a user defined data type named student. So this is the second part of the program. This includes the main function. So what happens after you have defined a class within the main function? This first statement is used to create the two objects of the student data type. The name of these two objects is obj1 and obj2. So this is a very important statement. This is used to access the member function of the class input, which belongs to obj1. So obj1 dot input will be used to access the input function, and the input function will be used to input the data members name and roll number. Name and roll number both will belong to object1, and then we are going to display the value of both the data members. Next, we try to access the input member function again, but this time it is accessed using the object2, and hence the input that we take, it will belong to the object2. In the previous statement, the data members name and roll number both belong to object1, and in the third statement, the name and roll number objects will belong to object2. And similar to the object1 dot display, we also display the value of the data members of the object2. So this is a complete program. It is a simple program to demonstrate how we can define a class, how we can create the objects of the class, and how we can access the members of a class using the object of the same. I hope the concept was clear to you. The other advanced concepts relating to the class and objects will be discussed in the upcoming video lectures. I only wish that you practice these programs in the lab session for better understanding of the topics. Thank you.